So every so often I have to work in confined spaces where there isn't a lot of light. And then of course I need to have my old traditional flashlight with me to do the inspection. And it's a bit cumbersome, and whenever I need my two hands, you know, I have almost to put the flashlight on my shoulder like this. You know, this is not very handy. But wouldn't it be nice if I had another kind of light? And so I got two lights. Those are two COB lights, and I'll talk more about it in a minute. And they are so handy. So let's look at that. I mean, I can just place it like this. I turn the other one on, and now I can work and I see everything. I have my hands free. So these are quite handy lights, and this is what we're going to talk about in this video. And here you have the two cup lights that I used before, and as you can see they are a little bit different from each other, but we'll look at each one of them in more detail in a few minutes. But a cup light is nothing more than LEDs on a board, so it stands for component on board. The white little dots are actually the LEDs that are mounted onto the board, and that's why we call it a cup light. LEDs, light emitting diodes, have the tendency to be very low power demanding, so they consume very little power. Nevertheless, these both units, they have a lithium battery on board which is rechargeable. And this is the first model we have. It has a battery inside which you cannot replace. It's 2200 milliamps hour, and it will last you for at least 20 hours on low power. And this is how you turn it on this dial. And on that setting right now, which is the low power setting, it will last you, as I said, about 20 hours. If you crank it all the way up, then it will last you about 3.5 hours. And I did try it, and it indeed lasts about 3.5 hours. So that is quite good. I'm not going to let you wait for this, guys, because that would take too long. But it's neat that you can actually adjust this. The minimum setting, it's about 10 lumen, and the maximum setting goes around 600 lumen. And for those of you that don't know exactly what lumen means, compare 600 lumen with about a 60 watts light bulb as we used to know it. That's the cup area, that's the adjustment and the on and off for the volume and the intensity of the light. And on the top you have a little metal ring, so you can hang it on the wall if you want to, or hang it on a nail somewhere when you need the light. Now in the back we have a magnet. This is the foot of the working light, and it's basically a magnet, and as you can see it can pivot around, so that will allow you to turn it in any kind of direction. And there is of course a little ring on the side here to lock it or unlock it in its position. And the nice thing about this foot is that it has a fairly good pivoting point, so you can turn around the light in any direction you want, and then you can actually lock it. But even then you still can turn it like so. Isn't that something? So I think this is a very handy light to have in the workshop, and it really lets you adjust the intensity continuously, so it's not in steps. That's quite nice. So I placed a very heavy metal bar on this aluminum table because otherwise it won't stick, and let's see how good it sticks. Hear that? That's solid. And I was surprised because this bar is really heavy. Let me show you. And this is a heavy bar, believe me guys, this is about 2 kilograms. So this foot, this magnetic foot, is very strong, and that's good, so the light won't fall down, and I've used it in different locations and it's really good for that. In the back we have 4 LEDs, and they indicate the state of the battery. Let me just turn that on. See, now you have 4 solid blue LEDs indicating that the battery is still fully charged. While you're using it, it's going to go down, and that's handy to see when you need to recharge the unit. Now, as I said before, this unit has a 2200 milliamps hour lithium battery inside the handle, and therefore you will have to charge it every so often. Charging it is done through a micro USB port, which is over here, so you can open that up, and it's pretty much sealed with the rubber. And here's a micro USB cable that you just need to fit in, and then you can charge it with any ordinary USB connector. So folks, the USB cable comes with it. That's part of the package. However, I think, and to be very honest, it's a bit on the short side. It would have been nicer if it was a bit longer, But then again, it doesn't really matter because we probably all have micro USBs at home from our smartphones or whatever. They are quite common, so that is not an issue whatsoever. You also will have to have a USB charger to charge this unit that you have to buy separate. It doesn't come with the light, but there are all kind of models and types on the market to handle that. So now let's have a look what the difference is between the two lights. So I have the two lights here, and the one on the left is a 600 lumen unit. The one on the right is a 400 lumen unit. So that's the first difference. So this one on the left will give you about between 50 and 60 watts of a normal light bulb. The one on the right is more near to 40 watts, something like that. So that is the main difference. Both will last the same time, and both are adjustable with the dials that we have here in the front. And it is quite similar. The unit on the right has this nice fluo green handle and dial, because that's easy to find it in the dark, I would say. Then this one, this is completely dark. But for the rest, they have the same magnet on the bottom. They pivot the same way on the bottom. And there is really no big difference, except that this unit has more capabilities in terms of moving around. You can see this part here is very solid and you can't turn that around, whereas this unit here allows you to bend it back and forth in all kind of directions, something we don't have on that unit. And it also allows you to turn around the head alone of the LEDs. And that's quite good. This is about 360 degrees. You can't keep on turning, you have to come back. But for the rest, the units are quite similar. In the back, however, there is a small difference. You might remember that this unit, as we looked at before, had an indicator right here on how much battery was left. That unit doesn't have that. It only has a LED, which is this LED here, which will show up during charging. It's not going to show up while you're not charging. So it's going to be red while it's charging, and when it turns green, it means the charge is complete. On this unit, while you're charging, you will see the 4 LEDs filling up, the 4 blue LEDs we looked at before, and then you know the charge is complete. I've been very pleased with those lights. They are very adjustable, the one on the right more than the one on the left. But for the rest, they are great lights. The power is a bit different between the two. The only negative thing I can say about these lights is that they come with a very short USB cable. But then again, that's a minor thing, and I'm not really worried about that because I got plenty of those laying around, and I'm sure you all do as well. So I think ToolMania is selling a pretty good product with this. So thank you for viewing, and I'll hope to see you in my next analysis of one of their products.